Good morning, everyone. My name is Nimisha Joshi, and I'm a manager of digital accessibility and support services at Global Marketing. We are here to learn about Cascade content management system that is used to maintain your websites, build and maintain your website. So that you are here to learn the basics of Cascade. In today's session, you will learn the layout of Cascade and how you can use Cascade to build new pages and edit the ones that you already have. Your site is in a template. That means there is a lot that is pretty locked in for you, and all you need to do is to just focus on the content part. So in case you're thinking if you can change the design, color, font size, and stuff like that, this is something you cannot do. That's the benefit of being in a template. You will see a lot of different pages in Cascade. We'll be looking only one basic page type, which is named as content page, because we won't have time to go over everything. But with this, you should be able to make edits on any other pages that you have in your site. So let's start. Cascade is a web-based application, which means it uses it is available on web. You just need to go to this address and log in with your NetID and password. If you don't have access yet, you'll have to reach out to Jill for that. And here is the login URL that I would recommend you bookmark, northwestern.edu/CMS. CMS stands for Content Management System. So with this, I will click on the login button here. If you bookmark this URL, the benefit is that you also get access to the help site, as well as there is a form which is used for OGMC supported site. But if you're not sure, you can always fill out this form and we will reroute it to Jill. So if I click on login, I will not see the login screen, the NetID login screen. You might. So just a little heads up about that. It will take me straight to Cascade because I'm already logged in, so I didn't see the login screen. So this is your Cascade dashboard. We'll talk about the screen a little bit, but normally you don't spend any time here. You come to the screen, click on your site name, and then do what you need to do. But it's always good to know what you're looking at, because sometimes you may have to come back to your dashboard to view some notifications or access any other sites that you may have access to. So for example, the toolbar that you see at the top, the black toolbar, it's known as Cascade toolbar. You have a few options here that might be helpful. For example, on the far left side, the dashboard icon works as your home button and bring you back to this view, the dashboard. So anytime you want to come back to your dashboard, you can click on that icon in the top left corner of your toolbar and it will bring you back. Next, we have your site selector drop down. So if you click here, you will see a list of all the sites I have access to. If you're one of those users who have access to more than one site, you can come here, switch between your sites, like type in your site name and it will show you all the sites you have access to, and you can just click on the site name from here. On the right-hand side, we have My Content tab, which is the same as this blue box that you see on my screen. So we'll talk about it in a little bit. Then you have Cascade Search, User menu, where you really don't have to do anything, and System menu. Except for maybe search, there's really nothing that you need to use here. Then you have these boxes. These boxes are known as Cascade widgets. These widgets allow you to interact with different content, see different content, or sometimes allows you to quickly get to the content that you were working on. For example, if you look at the My Content widget, which is in the center of my screen, it allows me to see my favorite content, which is under Start, and that is your default tab. Then if you switch to Recent, it will show you all your recently accessed content. Right now, you're looking at My Content. If you're just starting in Cascade, obviously these boxes will be pretty blank for you, but as you start to work, these will start to populate. Own Content tab will show you all your content that you have created. So when you create a new page or new folder in Cascade, it will attach itself to your NetID. So you will be listed as the owner. It doesn't mean that other people in your group cannot access it. But if you want to quickly access a page or a folder that you have created, you can go to own content and you should be able to see it. Drafts will list all your saved drafts. So if you saved a draft of a page, you can come back to my content and access the draft from here. And then if, like for example, for each one of these tabs, you also have a view all button or link at the bottom. So you can click on it and it will show you everything that you have under that category. All right, so I'm going back to my dashboard. Another thing is if you are just starting out and you are given access as a new user, you will see a lot more boxes on your dashboard. So if you click here, go back to this one, the one that is towards the left at the top. This is a user widget. This is the only widget that you cannot move around. Everything else can be moved around on the screen. So if you want, you can place my content on the left-hand side, move my sites here. So you can reconfigure your dashboard however way you want. But if you click on add widget, you will see a full list of widgets that are available in Cascade. Notice that you see analytics widget here. People get excited when they see this. Analytics widget, it does not work in Cascade. Okay. Jill might have access to your site's analytics, and if you're interested, she probably can give you access. But this widget, even if you add it to Cascade dashboard, it will not show you any numbers because this is not configured to show you analytics numbers in Cascade. You have a lot other widgets here that you don't see on my screen. If you're interested in learning more about the rest of the widgets that are not there on my screen, you can go to our help site, and under getting started, we have a page built out on your dashboard where we talk about all of the widgets that are available. So you can go through this page and see if there are any other widgets that might be helpful to you. I only have the ones that I like. Normally, when we give access to people, we will clean out their dashboard a little bit and remove some of the widgets that we don't think people use as much. Then you have my sites widget. This also allows you to quickly get to the site that you are working on. There is always a default site that will be listed at the top. And then the rest of the site list might change depending on your activity in Cascade. This is only for people who have access to more than one site. Most people have access to one site, so they will only see that site here. This again allows you to get to the site that you are working on. So there are two ways to find a site. You can either use the site selector dropdown, or you can click on the site name from within my sites widget. On the right-hand side, yes.
I just want to add one thing, because several people actually do have access to multiple sites. And they do have confusion sometimes because they look at that My Sites box and they don't see the other sites they have access to. So they're constantly calling, emailing me saying, I don't have access to this site. And I have to keep telling them to go to the little black box drop down to see that they actually do have access. So that is the main place to go get access to your site. So just make that clear. So
yeah, and thanks for pointing that out, because my site widget will populate as you start to work, but if you are just starting out, you may still have to click on the site name from this drop down. And once you do that, then the site will start, to appear in this box. So this is not, this is only a small subset of your site. It's not showing you everything that you have access to. As you can see here, the helper text says that. But like I said, most people have access to maybe like a few. So all those sites will start to show up as they, work on those sites. But yes, initially you will have to go to site selector drop down to see your sites. Thanks for bringing that up, Jill. I imagine that question. So, all right, on the right-hand side, we have this notifications widget. So notifications widget will show you all your messages that are generated by Cascade. Those messages could be about publishing a page or unpublishing. Those who are new to web editing, publishing means pushing your content to your live site, so making it public. Unpublishing means taking it down from the live site. I will also introduce a new term here, an asset. So an asset in Cascade is something that you can create. For example, you as a regular editor can create new pages, folders, or create files. When I say create files, it means uploading those files. Those files could be image files or Word or documents like Word document, PDFs, spreadsheets, and so on. So all the published messages are generated about publishing an asset. You could be publishing a web page, you could be publishing a folder, or you could be publishing just a few files, right? So when you publish any assets, the published message is generated. If you click on view all notifications, you can see more details about that published job. For example, you see here, I get these automatic published messages every day. And so if you click on any one of these, the titles here, it's a sort of like a link. It will expand to show you more details about that published job. So for example, if you publish a page with a lot of links in it, I recommend that people come back to their published notifications and see if there were any broken links. So you see here, it says broken links 0 for this one, and this published job was successful. There are no broken links in this job, but say if you are publishing a page with a lot of broken links, come here, see if you had any broken links. Cascade, when publishing, it will scan that asset for any issues like broken links, spelling errors, and stuff like that. Most of the times I've only seen broken links here, so it's a quick way to find those broken links. And you know, once you see those links, then you can go back to that page and fix them and republish. So in that regard, published notifications might be helpful. You don't really have to see it every time, but it's there. Then you have this link checker tool. So as you can see, this link checker right now is showing me results for my default site, which is the help site. So if you have multiple sites, you might have to switch between sites to see a report for that site. This report is just showing you all the broken links, external or internal, that your site may have. So this is a tool that scans every site in Cascade once a week. I think it's every Sunday morning. So all those sites will be scanned for broken links. The difference between the published notification here is this link, and this link checker report is that published notification will be generated just for that asset that you published, whereas link checker is scanning your entire site once a week, right? So it's another way to look for broken links on your site. Just make sure to switch between your sites, because it can only show report for one site at a time. So the bottom row will show you your site specific broken link report. So you click on that and you see more details. I have 11 assets with broken links. So I'm guessing it's all 11 pages. I have 12 broken links, which means I have more than one broken link on one of the pages. So if you scroll down, you will see more details. Source is the page that has the broken link. Occurrences is the number of broken links on that page. So if you click on more, it will show you the details about the broken links. I have external broken links. This right here is the link description that you see on the front end. And right here is the URL that is broken. So external broken links are links that are going outside of your site. Even if you're linking to another Northwestern site, it will still be considered external. Internal links will be links that are broken within your site. So if you were linking to another page on your site and that link gets broken for some reason, it will be listed here as an internal broken link, okay? Most of the times you will see external broken links because we all link to other sites, but we don't have any control over what happens to those external links. So it's a good idea to review this report once in a while, especially if you update your content more frequently. You probably should check this report on a regular basis. All right, so that's all the widgets I have on my dashboard that I find the most helpful. But like I said, we have a lot more that you can go and review on our help site. Now with this, I will go to a sandbox site that we have for you. So I have that site right here, SA Sandbox V2. This is the site that is used to create your department sites. So hopefully you will find your site similar to this one. So now when I click on the site name, it takes me to the site itself, right? So our view has changed a little bit. We have a few more options in the toolbar. And let's talk about this screen now. So the site name will be populated in the site selector dropdown when you're in a site, right? And you can see the site names are a little different than your, like what you see in the URL of your site. So all of your student affairs sites start with SA dash. So that's the prefix. And then you have your site name. If you're not sure what your site name is in Cascade, please check with Jill. Then you have add content button next to the site selector dropdown. So this allows you to create new content, create new assets. If you click on this pink button, it will show you a list of all the available widgets you have or assets you have, I'm sorry. So you can see here we have event space. So we have several types of pages. We have this file asset. We have this folder. We have actually 3 different types of folders. Most of the content editors should be creating only this folder type. News year and top folder is something that is already added to your site when we build it. And then, these are all the other page types you have available. Like I said, we will be looking at standard left map page. That's the most basic page type that you have in your site. And chances are, if you are creating a new page, you probably will just need to use this one. All right. Then you have site content. So site content tab will just bring you back to this view. So it's kind of like a home button for your site, just like the dashboard icon. Manage site is primarily for admin, so you don't really need to do anything. In this toolbar, there's only one more option that you might find helpful, which is under the system menu. So when you're in a site, you will see an additional option here, which is the publish queue. So this publish queue is a university-wide queue of all the published jobs that are going on in Cascade. Right now, there's nothing going on, but if you wait here for a few seconds, you will see a bunch of published jobs appear here. If you published, say, a page or a folder, that usually just take like a few seconds. But if you're publishing more than a few pages or folder and you think your changes are not showing up on your live site, you can come back to publish queue, see the status or progress of your published job here. So you can see here, like this Weinberg site is publishing and it's gone, maybe because it was just one page. So you can see the progress here. That option is available in your Cascade toolbar under system menu. You will see this option only when you are in a site. If you're on the dashboard, this option does not appear. Okay. All right, then on the left-hand side, we have something called a Cascade folder tree. So your site is a folder in Cascade. If you click on this folder name, you will see it will expand and collapse to show you folder contents. Above that, we have this trash bin, which is like your recycle bin or trash bin on your computer. If you delete an asset, it will go in this recycle bin or trash bin. It will stay there for a little while. I think that time duration is 15 days for most of your sites. So within 15 days, you can recover anything that you might have accidentally deleted. If you want to bring it back, just select that asset and click on restore, and it will put this asset back in its original location. Just remember that when you delete something, it's automatically unpublished from your destinations, live or test. So you might have to publish it back if you do intend to put it back on your live site, okay? Another thing I want to point out is that if you want to see the folder contents in the main window, you have to click on this view folder option, the right pointing arrow that you have, right? Because if you don't click on it, you're not in that folder yet. The reason why I am pointing that out is because on the help side, in some of the instructions there, you will read go to a folder. So go to a folder means you have to see the folder contents in that main window. For example, if I just click on about, I do see what lives within about, but am I in that folder yet? No, I have to click on this view folder button to go to that folder. Now I'm in that folder, right? So there is a difference in the way it works. Just expanding that folder doesn't mean you're in that folder yet. All right. So let me go back to the main folder. Right here. Now you see there is this index page that's sitting outside of all these folders. So and all of your sites are set up the same way. So you will also see this index page, which is the sort of the landing page for this main directory or the root directory. If I click on this index page, you will see it's the home page of your site. All of you will have an index page that's sitting outside of all these folders. And that index page is the home page of your site. Right, so this is the home page of the sandbox site. And then if you click on any of the other folders, all these folders also have an index page. So the folders that are showing in the navigation of your site will have an index page. So these index pages are known as landing pages for a site. So let me go to a site and show you an example, because this one doesn't have a published destination, so I cannot see you show you the site in the browser anywhere. So let me go to okay. So I'm just going to go to a department. Okay. So right here, I'm on accessible NU site, and you see I have 4 folders here, or 4 items in the top navigation. So if I click on About Us, you see how About Us also has an index page. So all the folders that are showing in the navigation of your site will have an index page. The index page is considered as a landing page or the entry page for a section. So think of it as like a door to a building. If you don't have that door, you cannot access the building. It means that if you don't have this index page, you will not be able to interact with what lives within this folder. Okay, so you have to have an index page for every folder that is appearing in your site's navigation. You have a few other folders that are there in the folder tree, but they don't appear in the navigation. For example, this internal folder. First of all, you probably won't see internal folder in your folder tree, but if you do, it will not appear anywhere on the site's navigation. You have this images folder, which is used to store images. It doesn't appear in the navigation of your site. So there are folders that don't show in the navigation, but the ones that do will always have an index page. Just remember that we never rename an index page. And when I say rename, I mean not changing the name in the URL. So it should always say index.html. Right? If you look at the URL, it's sort of following the folder hierarchy in Cascade. Accessible NU is the base URL for this site. Then between 2 forward slashes, we have a folder about-us, and the web page, which is index, is ending with .html. So Cascade URLs, or the URLs of our sites, follow the folder hierarchy in Cascade. It means that if you're saving a page in a certain folder, you will see the folder / page name in the URL. So you cannot, if some of you might have experience with WordPress, you can arrange your navigation however way you want. But in Cascade, a page has to live in a certain directory to be able to appear under that directory. So, and I think it's actually easier because you don't have to do anything. It just automatically creates that URL for you. Just remember that you do not rename an index page. If this is something you want to do, you really have to check with Jill so that she can help you figure that out and then create redirects. So when I say rename, I'm talking about not changing this. On the page itself, it says about us, and you can change that. That's totally okay. But don't change the page URL. All right, and the URL is changed under more, and I'm not going to talk about that because this is something we don't want our editors to do on a regular basis. You do not change page URLs, because if you're changing the URLs, you might be creating broken links on your site as well as for others who might be linking to you. Anyway, let's go back to the index page. So this is the home page of your site. If you expand any other folder, you will see the folder contents. So now that you know how the URLs are created, let's go ahead and add a new page. So the first question you want to ask yourself when you are ready to add a new page is, where will this new page go, and what page type do I want to add, right? So in that case, like thinking about the page type, you really have to look at the page content. You have a lot of other page types available, but like I said, for this training purpose, I will be looking at the most basic page type. But if you want to create, say, an expand collapse page type or an FAQ type page, you will be using an expand collapse page type. And in that case, you can check with Jill. She will be, I'm sure, happy to show you a few other options that you have available. Jill, do you have like a pattern library where all the page types are listed?
Where all the what is, I'm sorry.
All the page types are listed?
No, usually what I like to do is just kind of go through the content with each of the departments or the contact and talk through like what the best options are.
Okay.
Because if I give them the visual first, then they like to kind of put their content into the visual, where I'd rather give them the options first, because I don't want them to get married to a certain design.
Okay.
And so, when I see what the content is, I can say, here are the options that work with that.
Okay.
So that's usually the way I do it. So.
Okay. So I mean, like we have these two pattern libraries out there where we list every page type, and it's built out so you can see a working example of each one of the page type. The standard page that you have on your site kind of looks like this. It's in a different design, so the colors are a little different, but it is pretty much, the same layout. You will have a banner image at the top. You have a left navigation, you have the main content area right here, and then you have a sidebar. So your standard left nav page also looks a little similar. I mean, layout wise, it's exactly the same. You do have different colors in your brand, so we use those for your sites. I was just talking about this because then people can see a working example of each one of the available page type you have, but that's okay. I will leave that up to you. If you want to say use a new page type, or like I said, if you want to add a new page, 2 questions to ask: where will this page go? What page type I will use? So that in our case, we know we are going to use a standard left nav page. Let's say we want to add this new page to resources folder, or maybe the test folder. So first you have to go to that folder, which means you have to click on this right pointing arrow and see the folder contents here in the main window. And then once you are in that folder, you go to add content and select the page type. So in this case, I'm going to look for standard left nav page. That's the most basic page type I have. Once you click on the page name, you will see a form that you need to fill out, right? This form has a few fields, and depending on where this content is going, it will appear pre-styled for you in a certain layout. Like I said, the layout for your standard left nav page is similar to this one, where you have the hero image option, you have the main content, and a sidebar. These are the 3 areas of the page that you can edit. So you can edit the hero image, you can edit the main content, and you can also add a sidebar. Some of this is optional. For example, the hero image is optional, the sidebar is optional. The main content is also optional, but if you're adding a page, you probably want to add something in the main content area. All right, so here's the form. Normally, these forms are designed in a way where the field order will match the display order on the front end. For example, if you start here, the header is the first field here, and when I say first field here, it means there are some fields that are common across the board. Display name, title, description, and display navigation. These 4 fields will always be there irrespective of the page type. This is where the page layout starts to change on the back end. So on a standard page, the first display item on the front end is the hero image, and that's what we have on the back end. So we try to match the order so that it makes sense when you are editing. All right, so let's take a look at the form fields. The first field when you're creating a new page will always be placement folder. Placement folder is the folder where you're saving this page. Test folder is my placement folder because I'm in that folder. Now, if you decide to change this placement folder, you can. If you click on the folder name, a panel will open from the right, and you can browse to your desired folder. So if I decide to save it under resources instead, I click on browse. Now my current selection is resources. So I'm going to save this new page there. So click choose, and now my placement folder is resources. So you can change the placement folder later. I mean, it's not like we are just married to that one folder. Now the next field here is title. So I will first populate the required fields because we are creating a new page. So the next required field I have is the title. There is a dummy title, so you need to take this out and maybe add your own. I am going to use frequently asked questions as my example because I also have a good display name for it. So let's go with this. Frequently asked question is my title. Then I have display navigation, which is set to yes by default. This setting allows you to show or hide a page in the navigation. For example, if you have a staff page and you have bio pages for each one of your staff members, you can choose to hide those bio pages in the navigation and just link to them from your staff page. So in that case, you're just keeping your site navigation or top navigation clean. You don't have to display all those pages that you have in the navigation, right? So this setting will allow you to do that, display navigation, but it's set to yes by default. And then that's all. So these are the 3 required fields I have on standard page. So I'll go ahead and click preview draft. And since I'm creating a new page, I will complete the process and save this. So I will not leave it at this point because drafts are saved somewhere in users workspace. So especially when you're creating a new page, you want to at least hit submit to save that page permanently in Cascade. So I will go ahead and hit submit. It will take me through some checks and it's asking me to enter some comments. You can do that if you want. So check content. Now it's going to look for spelling, broken links, and accessibility. And there's nothing there. So we went through this really fast and it says asset created successfully. So now I've added a new page in Cascade. Editing this page will be just like editing any other page in your site. You just have to find the page and then you go to edit and make changes. Now notice that in the folder tree, this page is added alphabetically, right? So all the assets in the folder tree are arranged alphabetically, whereas in the navigation of your site, this asset is added at the end, right? So that's the difference. When I say sites navigation, I'm specifically talking about what you see here in the preview, not this folder tree. This folder tree does not reflect your site's navigation. This folder tree has way more assets that you see in your navigation, right? You have underscore common, you have underscore internal, you have images. Some sites may also have a docs folder for saving documents. All of those folders are not showing anywhere in your navigation. So this does not reflect your site's navigation. What you see here in the preview is what you see on your live sites, and that is what is your site's navigation. So when you add a new asset, that asset is automatically added to the end of that section. You can arrange this if you want. So for example, if you want to move frequently asked questions up, you can click on resources and then you will see everything that resources folder has. Then you click on order. You will see the current order of your assets. No matter where index page is, it will always be at the top. So it doesn't matter if it's at number 1 or number 4, you will always see this at the top. I like to keep it at 1 because then it makes sense. Now, if you want to move frequently asked question up, you can either drag and drop, or you can select and then move it up or down, like using these arrows. So if I say I want to move it at the top, I did that. If I click on index or any other page to see a preview of the navigation, you will see frequently asked questions as moved to the top, right? So we reordered a navigation. So the folder tree will always display assets in alphabetical order, whereas your site's navigation can be rearranged. Now, I'm looking at this page, user resources. So I'll just take this as an example. I didn't really make any changes here, but when you say make changes and you don't submit, you can see here it says draft. And say if you walk away from this page at this point, what happens? You have saved a draft that you have not submitted to Cascade, which means only you can see those changes. No one else can. When you are looking at a draft, you also don't have the option to publish. Why? Because there is one extra step that you have to take before you can publish, which is to submit. When you submit, you're saving your changes permanently to Cascade server. you also create a version of the page in that case. As soon as you submit, you will get the option to publish it. You cannot publish drafts. I get this question sometimes where people are like, I don't have the option to publish. Now I know what the problem is. Before I was like, what is going on? And it's because people are seeing their drafts. So if you see a draft, just notice that there's no publish option. So you have to hit submit to be able to publish it. Now, let's say you made some changes, you saved a draft, you walked away from Cascade, you come back to this page 2 days later. Sometimes Cascade might bring you back to the last saved version of this page, which is, it will say current here. So, and you might be wondering where your changes are. So if you think you saved a draft, you probably have a draft. If it says current, you have a draft. It's also showing you a message here. I warn people on this screen because if you click on edit by mistake, you will override your draft immediately and there is no way to bring it back. That's why if you think you have a draft, please stop at the screen and pay attention to the options. If you don't see any options, like you don't see a drop down, it means there was no draft. Otherwise, there is a draft. So you just switch to this draft mode and then you will see your changes. At this point, you have 3 options. You can either submit this draft to save it permanently. You can discard this draft and just remove the changes, or you can go back in the same draft and make more changes. So you have 3 options at this point. All right, let me go back to the frequently asked questions page that I created. So I have this page, I will make changes to this, but before that I need to fix something. I want to first update the URL to say FAQs, right? I want to shorten the URL. So right here is what I will see in the URL. It will say resources/frequently asked question. Now, if you want to shorten the URL or change it for some reason, you will go to more and click rename. This is where you will change the URL. It's named as new page name. I usually call it system name because that makes more sense. So in this case, you can enter FAQs as your URL. So if you click rename, it says asset successfully moved, renamed. I mean, we only renamed it. So as soon as I do that, you will notice here, this part will say FAQs. I will have to refresh to see that change. So now it says FAQs. So I will see FAQs in the URL of this page. You notice that it's changed here as well as in the folder tree, right? So folder tree also says FAQs. Now, I also want to change what it says here in the breadcrumbs and in the navigation because it's too long for me, or in the drop down even, right? So in the navigation, if you want to change the page name, you have to go back to edit and add a display name. So display name is used for navigation. System name is used for URL, and page title is used on the page itself. So an asset has usually 3 names: display name, title name, and system name. System name is what you see in the URL. Display name is what you see in the navigation, and title is what you see on the page itself. When you create a new asset, display name and system name will default to page title. You notice how when I created this asset, page title was used everywhere, right? Now I'm changing them because I want my display name to be FAQs and my system name is already FAQs now. So I will enter FAQs here. I hope this is clear. You don't have to have a display name always. Use display name field only when your page title is too long for the navigation, or it's making your URL extra long. So you can have a shorter version of your page title. And I will also change it to frequently asked questions. So this is my display name, title. Notice what happens when I do that. And I will go ahead and hit submit. Unfortunately, it takes you through these checks every single time, no matter what you do. Okay, so now in the navigation, like navigation is my top navigation right here. It says FAQs, breadcrumb says FAQs, And then in the site navigation, it says FAQs. So I updated the display name as well as the system name to match so that it's easier to find and my URL is not super long. But the page title still says frequently asked questions. All right, so now let's add some content to this page. Editing this page will be just like editing any other page you have, right? Find the page, click on edit, and you will see the edit form. Notice that the placement field is not there anymore because we don't want you to change placement. So we kind of hide it when you go in the edit mode. Normally people don't make changes in the top part of the page after it's been created. Description field is something that we didn't talk about. So what is this? This is something that's used for search engine optimization. Description field does not appear anywhere on the page itself. It's used by search engines. So whatever you enter here will be displayed in your search results. It should be less than 300 characters. And what I mean by search results is if you search for, say, Northwestern University, and pardon my spelling, these two lines are coming from the description field if you have it populated. If you don't have it populated, what happens in that case? Google will take whatever is there in the first paragraph on that page, right? So see, I mean, the way you can use it is just search for your top hits, important pages of your site, see what description comes up in Google search. And if that description describes the page, fine, you maybe don't have to do anything. But if that description doesn't describe the page well, then go in Cascade, populate the description field, save, publish, and wait for Google to update the search results. It will update at some point. I can't tell you when, but whenever it crawls your site next, the description will also be updated. So this can be used for your search engine optimization. You don't have to use it for every single page. It's an optional field in Cascade. And it doesn't appear anywhere on your site. All right. So let's scroll down and look at the actual content fields we have. So the first field here is the header image field. So we don't recommend that you add this huge image on every single page of your site. Normally, our standard is to add this header image on the home page of a site, or at the max, the main landing pages of a site. So if you look at the accessible and new site that I have pulled up, there is a header image at the top. I mean, this is not the standard page. The header image on a standard page will span to the full width of the page, but it will look something like this. Or at the max, we add these header image on the main landing pages here. So let me just show you another example, like Northwestern homepage. This right here is the header image, and the main landing pages also have the header image. The internal pages usually don't have the header image. This is the top level site, so it is a little different. But if you look at any other site, like even maybe Provost site. So if you look at the Provost site, they have a header image here. Well, let's see, they don't have an image here. So don't add header images on your internal pages. See what standard your site has. But I will show you how to pull it in, so that if you have to update a header image on your homepage or any other pages, you know how to do it. Now, wherever we want you to use a specific size of an image, we will add that to the label. So this image should be cropped to 1440 by 420 before you pull it in Cascade. Okay, so do this on your desktop. You can use Photoshop if you know how to do it. We just need very basic editing. We want you to make sure that the size of the image, the actual size of the image is not too big. You can keep these images very well under 1 MB, right? I've seen huge images on the site on some of the sites, and you don't want to do that because some browsers will render those images okay, but others might render a full-sized image on their computers, which will cover the entire page. So if you're not cropping your images to the right size, or your files are huge, then it might be a problem. So make sure you're cropping your images to the recommended sizes, as well as keeping your file sizes. When I say file size, I'm talking about in KB or MB low. as low as possible without losing the quality of the image, right? So we have this 1440 by 420 image. You click on choose file and a panel will open with a few options. Recent will show you all your recently clicked on assets. Starred will show you your starred assets. Browse will show you all your, the folders that you have within your site. So you can also browse within your images folder to pull one of the existing images, or normally people are like uploading a new image. So we will do that. So you will click on upload and bring a file from your computer. So I'm going to choose a file from my computer. I might not have the right one. This probably is okay. So I have this file. It's the file name. We have a standard because file name becomes part of the URL for images or files. So you have to make sure it's all lowercase without any spaces. It will not allow you to upload any file names that are uppercase or have spaces. Then you have to make sure that the files have an extension. Okay, so .jpg is my extension for this file. Also make sure to update the file names to something more meaningful. So don't have like screenshot, dash, and timestamp. Try to make your file names meaningful, because everything that you add to a page contributes to your search engine optimization. So if your file names are not proper, then one, it might be difficult for you to find that file, or maybe your team members to find that file in Cascade, or it will be, it will affect your SEO scores negatively. So make sure that you're naming your files properly before pulling them in Cascade. Then you have the placement folder. So we recommend that all image files go in images folder and documents go in documents folder. If your site doesn't have these folders, you can reach out to Jill and I'm sure she'll be happy to add one. You can also create one yourself. You just need to remove the index page that is added by default to any folder. So then I need to change my placement folder because I want my image to go in the images folder. So in this case, I'm going to click on this root directory. So I see all the folders, and then I click on images folder and I'm browsing to that folder. Make sure your current selection is the one that you want to save your assets in, then click choose. So two things are happening. One, this file was placed in this images folder. Two, it was placed on this page, right? So I have these two images. You notice how one was added at the end. Why? Because I probably have another image with this file name in this folder. So it's a duplicate for me. Anyway, then I have this image subhead field. So image subhead is that big white text that you see on our sites. So let's add a test subhead and see. Oh, my goodness. I'm just clicking randomly. Sorry, something is wrong. Okay. For some reason, I couldn't click anywhere. Okay, so I was adding subhead. Okay, so I'm making two changes right now. I added an image. I am also adding a subhead. I'm going to just preview my changes. Just want to see what those fields look like on the front end. So I click on preview draft. And you can see here, this is my subhead optional field. You don't always have to add it. And then I have this image. So this image has a baked in text. This banner image is baked into this image. So not a good idea. You should never do that. But I probably added this to show what the banner image looks like. Notice when you have a hero image, the page title moves on to it. So it's by design, page title will appear here. You don't see the page title in the main window or main part of the page. So that's by design when you have a hero image, right? So let's go back in and add more content. So we just changed this. I'm going to collapse this so that I have this content area visible. Now, this is the main content area, right? It looks very small, so I'm going to go in a full screen mode for just this content area. This right here is the full screen icon. When you hover over any of these icons, you will see the name for it. So go slow with this initially, so you know where those icons are located in the toolbar. This right here is the full screen icon. I will click on it, and now I have a fixed toolbar at the top and no distractions. I'm going to copy some text so we can, use the formatting options to format our text. So I'm going to maybe visit text editor. This is my favorite text to edit. It does have some issues, but anyway, when you copy and paste here, make sure you're removing the existing formatting. This is extremely important for any web editor that you work with. For example, if you're working in Outlook, if you're copying, pasting in Gmail or in Cascade, make sure that before you paste in Cascade or these web editors, you remove the formatting. And by that, I mean, you have to either paste your text in Notepad or use Cascade's inbuilt text editor, which lives under edit. So if you click on edit, paste as text will give you that functionality. So now if I do Control V to paste my text, you see how all the formatting has been removed. That's what I want. I want to remove that formatting and start over, because I want to start as a clean slate. There is no extra tags in there, and that's what I want. If you don't do that, then sometimes you don't see anything on the front end, but on the back end, there is so much extra code that you don't want in your page, because all of that code will be read by the screen readers or by, say, Google, and it does not work in your favor. So you want to remove the existing formatting and start from scratch. You want to use the formatting options that we have in Cascade, which we will take a look at in a minute. So always use paste as plain text or use a notepad before you paste in Cascade. It is extremely important. Now,
can you show that one more time? I'm sorry, I want to make sure that I have that correct of how you did that with the buttons.
So that option is available under edit, paste as text.
Thank you.
Okay, so before you paste, just go here, check this box, or just select this option, and then do Control V. So you're going to have to use keyboard shortcuts for cut, copy, and paste in Cascade. These, the toolbar options don't work for some reason. So I did Control V to paste. All right, so now we will use some of these formatting options. So you have bold and italic, which is just like the word toolbar. We don't have underline or strike through because we don't use them. They don't work with screen reading devices that people with visual impairments might use. So we have removed them from the toolbar. Then we have headings. So headings are like these like big bold text that you see on our sites that create headings, create visual hierarchy in your content, and you can create a structure in your content. So I'll show you how to apply headings to your content if you have it. So just one thing before I apply headings, I have some extra line breaks in this text that I need to remove before I do that. Otherwise, it just doesn't work properly. Okay, let's see. All right. So say you want to apply a heading to a piece of text. You select the text, then go to formats, and under formats, you will find headings. Now, it is important, make a note about this. The first heading in your content area should always be a heading 3. Do not use heading 2 or heading 1. We have used these two headings for your site title and page title. So in the content area, you will always start with heading 3. I don't want to put them on the spot, but I did notice that this accessible NU page that I was looking at they have used heading 2 multiple times, and this is incorrect. I can change this later, but this should be a heading 2, or sorry, 3. Heading 2 is the page title. And why is this important? One, because we want to create the right hierarchy. So you should only have one heading 1 in this version, then one heading 2, which is for the page title. So in the main content area, always start with a heading 3, and then you can follow the heading order as needed. You can have multiple heading 3s if your content needs that, You can create a hierarchy if you have subsections of the same heading. So you can do all of that, but the first heading should always be heading 3. Okay, so I will apply that. So this is what it will look like. Now, say I have this heading 3 and I have a subsection. So in this case, I'll apply a heading 3 to this one. Oops, this might happen because it's because of that extra line break I have everywhere. Okay. There should be a P maybe. Okay, so let's apply the heading 3 here. Now this accessibility tip that you see here, I want to apply the next heading level under this, which will be a heading 4. So I'm following the heading order here, right? This will again happen because of that extra line break I have. So I'm going to remove this. Oh my God. I'm sorry. You probably wouldn't have to do this. This is just me because I have an extra line break that's causing that problem. Okay, hopefully it will work now. Okay. So I have this heading 3, and then this accessibility tip is under this heading. So I applied a heading 4 to it. Now, what does it say? It says that my headings should be used to structure the content, not to style it. And we also don't skip a heading level. And what is this accessibility tip? So Northwestern has a digital accessibility policy, which at a very high level for you means that we have to ensure the accessibility of our content for people with disabilities. One of the primary disabilities that we look at is visual impairments. So someone who's blind, we want to make sure that, and there are 5 things that as a content editor you can do to ensure the accessibility of your content, right? So, and I will point out those 5 things. Out of those 5 things, the first number 1 that we are looking at right now is the proper use of headings. When you use headings to style the content, you're kind of messing up the reading order for them. When someone cannot see, they use a screen reading device to read the page, right? And based on these headings, they create a mental picture of the page, right? So that's why I was saying that do not use heading 1 and heading 2 in the content area. Always start with heading 3. So that's why because we don't want to mess up the heading order. So based on the headings, they're creating a mental picture of the page content. If you use your headings properly, it helps them comprehend the content better. I'm only talking about one impairment here. Someone might have a visual impairment as well as a cognitive impairment as well. So we want to keep things simple as possible. And that's why we want to make sure our headings are used properly. It's not a big ask if you by me, like I'm like, okay, this is the easiest thing I have to do. I don't want to use these headings incorrectly. I never apply these headings to highlight a piece of text. You need to make sure your headings are navigational, which means every heading should have something under it. Okay, if you really need to highlight something on your site, which is like a running text, and you just want to draw attention to it, maybe use bold, or you can check with Jill, and maybe Jill can come to us and we'll be happy to create a new style for it. But don't use headings to style your content, okay? So only 2 things you have to remember. Use headings to structure your content, and do not skip a heading level. I have seen this enough. I have seen this enough where people will not use heading 4. They use heading 3, and right after heading 3, I see a heading 5. Or sometimes they start with heading 5. And that's because they don't like the style of heading 4. And I understand that, but then we are creating accessibility issues for no reason. So do that. So these are your headings. Then you have bulleted list and number list, which is pretty straightforward. You just select the text, or you can just bring your cursor and start here. Again, because of the line breaks, it's creating some issue for me. But it's like that. If you do Shift Tab, it will create an indentation or remove it. It's Just tab will create the indentation, shift tab will bring it out because you don't see indentation icons in your toolbar. So you have to use keyboard shortcuts for that. Just like this, we have these numbered list, nothing fancy there. It's all pre-styled, but it works for the most part. It's not like Word. So this is the second level. I think there is a third level, which in this version doesn't look great. We need to fix it at some point. Anyway, so these are your numbered list. Then we have links. So this is something you will be using a lot in Cascade. You create a lot of links, you have broken links that you fix. So let's see how we can do that. So for links, I will add some text here because that's what I'm linking to. So like I mentioned earlier, you can create two types of links in Cascade: internal links and external links. Within internal links, you have two types. Within external links, you have two types. So we'll take a look at 4 different types of links altogether. Now, the second accessibility requirement or best practice for content editors is around links, which is again very easy to follow. Just make sure that your link text is as descriptive as possible. Try to not use read more or click here type links, okay? Because those do not help with someone with visual impairments. The reason is if someone is reading your page with links, they most likely will just pull up all the links on a page. They don't read anything else. They'll just pull up all the links. And if your links say read here or click more, it doesn't give them any information about the link destination, right? So you want to make sure your link text is descriptive. If you have to have something like click here or read more, you absolutely cannot make it descriptive. Then try to give some context around the link text, okay? So if it is part of a running sentence, give them some context in the paragraph. And most of the times people do, but the first preference is to make link text descriptive, okay? So this is my link text. Is it descriptive? I think so. If I only had internal links, was that descriptive? Probably, but maybe not. So I added in Cascade. So now if you want to turn this into a link, you will select the link text, then go to this little chain icon, insert edit link. It will open a dialog for you. And then the link type is selected by default as, internal. All you have to do is to select a page or a file that you want to link to, and that's within Cascade. So click choose. And in this case, I'm going to browse and maybe select this page. So if you were to link to a file and say you want to upload that file, then you will follow the same steps as the image file. You will just select the file from your computer, make sure you're changing the placement folder and upload that file. Same rules apply, and the file name, you have to make sure that it makes sense and the file has an extension, okay? This site doesn't have a docs folder, so we don't have any pre-existing documents that I could select. So I'm going to just link to a page. So I'm going to browse again and selecting this events page, click choose, and the page appears here. This right here is my text to display, which I already selected, but I can change it here if I want. Now, target is something that some people like to change. So normally links should open in the same tab, but if for some reason you want to open your link in a new tab, then you can change the target to new window. In that case, you have to add that information to the link text. So if you choose to open your links in a new tab, you need to add that to the link text for accessibility. So in this case, I will say link opens in a new tab and change the title target to new window and click OK. I know it doesn't look that great, but we're making it accessible because you need to provide your users this information that this will open in a new tab. Now, for another type of internal link is an anchor link. So I'll show that in the end, but let's take a look at an external link. So external links are linking to an external file or URL. So all you need is the URL from an external source. So let's go to maybe this page here and then select it from the address bar, the entire URL, select the text that you want to link, and then go back to the link option, change the link type to external, and then just delete everything from the link source field and paste your URL. It should start with https:/. If you don't have this, first of all, Cascade will not let you create this link. So I think that's not a worry anymore. But in case you're missing this, it will not create an external link. If your link starts with just www, this is a very problematic link because it will not appear in anywhere in your broken link report, and it will not take you to this destination. It will just try to bring you back to Cascade actually. So that's why you have to start with HTTPS. Oh, I've lost it. Okay, so I'm just pasting this. This is my text to display. I will make it better by adding in Cascade and then hit OK. There's another feature with links that you can use once in a while. So you can turn your links into a button. So for example, if you want this link to look like a button, you could have done it at the same time, but you will just go back to the same insert edit link option, and under styling, you can select this button class. So this is this button class that you see here. It's a little piece of code that we have added. All you have to do is to select the right class from this drop down, and it will apply that code around this text. Okay, so if you hit OK, this is what the button will look like. You don't have to do this for every link, obviously, but once in a while you might want to add these buttons to highlight something on your page. So you can do that. You can apply this to any type of link. It doesn't have to be external links. You can apply this to an internal link as well. So this option is available in the same pop-up option window. Now, the other type of external link is email links, which again, we do a lot these days. So if you have an email address like this, if you just hit enter, Cascade will turn this into an external email link. And if you look at the syntax, right here, it is an external link type, starts with mail to : and the email address. There should be no space between your email address and the colon. You can also change the text to display to email. Say, I want to make it descriptive. Or something like this. So on the front end, it says email OGMC support, but when you click on it, the behavior is still the same. It will open the email client on your user's computer and populate the to field with that email address, right? And we have all used it. So these are the two types of external links. Now, the last type of internal link is an anchor link type. So you might have seen those back to top links. That's an example of an anchor link. I'm just making my page a little longer because I have to have a scroll bar to be able to see that anchor link working. So in this case, I have a lot of content now. I'm going to show you how to create anchor links. So anchor links in our case can be used for like FAQ type pages. Let me see if your site has that. Okay, so we don't need back to top link anymore, right? Because when you start to scroll, and as soon as the scroll bar appears, you will also see this back to top button on your site on the bottom right corner of your screen. So that's why you don't need to create a back to top link, but you might want to create those anchor links where you have questions at the top and each question links to a different answer on the same page. That's another example of an anchor link. So let's see how we can do that. So the first step is to place the anchor where you want to jump back to. So say I want to jump back to this last paragraph right here. Okay, I have this text here. So I will place the anchor here. So this right here is the anchor icon. I need to give it a name. So I'm giving it a name. Okay, now if you have multiple anchors, so if you're creating an FAQ type anchor link, each paragraph will have a unique anchor ID. So make sure you're doing that. Otherwise, everything will be linking to the same paragraph. So you have this a little anchor icon showing up. It will not show up when you save and preview. It's only in the editing mode. Now we want to create a link. So the link text can say this. And then all I have to do is to link it to that anchor. So if I go back to the link option, I just need the anchor ID here. I am not selecting a link source because I'm linking within the same page. It has to be as is, no changes. So right here is my anchor link. Now let's see what these links look like in the preview mode. So I'm going back in my normal editing screen, and then I will click on preview draft. So this is a toggle. You click on full screen again, and it will bring you back in your normal mode. Now you just click on preview draft to see your changes. It says your draft is saved. I have the image. I have some text here. I have my headings, these links. I just want to see what my anchor link looks like. So if I click on anchor link example, the expected behavior is that it will jump to that paragraph, and it did. So it's working now. External link, if you try here in the preview mode, I believe they don't work. You have to publish to be able to see external links working. So don't be alarmed if your external link is not showing in this main window, preview window in Cascade. All right, so let's go back in edit mode and make more changes. We have a few more options to go over. So we looked at the formatting options, bulleted list, link. The next option is the image option. So you can place images in this content area. I will go back in full screen mode again. So the image that we placed earlier has a fixed place, right? It always appears at the top of the screen, but you can put images in the main content area as well. There is no size restriction. There is no location restriction. You can place it anywhere you want to. I will show you a headshot that you can place in your content area. Just a small tip is that I know there is no size restriction, but you still want to make sure your images are not huge. They should definitely not be wider than that 1440 width we have, because if you upload huge sizes of images, it will break the page layout. It will not resize properly on smaller viewing devices. And like I said, in certain browsers, it might not load properly and cover the text part. So make sure you're using your images wisely in this main content area, since there are no restrictions. So let's start with where we want to place this image. So I will maybe add an image here. So bring the cursor where the image will go, and then go to the image option. I'm going to use images should always be internal. You should never link to an external image. You need to upload those images to Cascade first. So I'm going to click on choose file. This time around, I'm just going to use an existing image. So I will go to browse and find an image that lives within my images folder. I have a lot of placeholders. So I'm going to choose this one right here. It's a gray thumbnail, female. And the spelling is incorrect, which is fine. So I have this image here. Now, the third accessibility requirement is around images. And it says for all your non-text content, you need to have a text alternate, okay? Non-text content in this case is an image. So I need to provide a text alternate. So which means I need to describe the image the way I see it in the context of this page, okay? So that's your third accessibility requirement. Now, you might ask me, okay, how do I know like the text alternate I entered is enough, or it makes sense? And I always say, ask yourself a question. If you couldn't see this image, what would be helpful to know as a visually impaired user, and just enter whatever comes to your mind, because there is no right and wrong. This is so subjective. Most of the times our images are decorative. And there is an option to mark your images as decorative. I don't recommend that you do it. Once in a while, it's fine. If you think the image you're adding is purely decorative, you're only adding it to create visual interest on the page, it really doesn't matter if you take it out. It won't take anything away from the page content. Then you can mark it as a decorative image, but I encourage you to enter text alternate for most of your images, because there is a reason why we are adding these images to our pages. Even if it is to create a visual interest, then why hide it from someone who can't see, you're not giving them the same user experience. So I encourage you to add alternate text, and as you do it, you get better. So that's another thing. You get more practice if you do it. You have to do this for all your digital content and not just with Cascade images. So if you are posting images on your social media, if you are creating documents with images, you need to add the image alternate text. So in this case, you see how image description field is populated with the file name. You need to take this out and enter your own image description or image alternate text. Oh no, okay. So this option will allow you to hide it from a screen reading device, marking it as a decorative image, which I don't recommend, but if you want to do it, you can just check this box. Image description field will be visible only when this box is unchecked. Okay. So what is this image? Placeholder. And I will add gray. Now, female, I can leave it at that, or maybe staff member, because maybe I am adding this to a staff page. So I want to give some context here. So this is my image description for this image here, and I can also adjust the size a little bit. I can make it smaller if I want. I always keep this box checked because I don't want to distort the image, and hit OK. Okay. So I have the image here. It's still big. Maybe I should make it small. All right. So I have the image here. It looks okay, but with this size image, I think some text wrapping will look better. If you want to do that, you need to select the image, go back to the image option, and select one of these two alignment classes: align image left, align image right. When you do that, the image will be aligned to your choice, as well as there will be some text wrapping. So if I just select this one here, you see how the text is moved up. That's what the text wrapping is. Now, this is where you will have to play with the size of the image and the amount of text you have. There is no set formula here. So you might have to actually go in preview mode to see exactly what it will look like when you save it. So I'm going back in the normal mode and then clicking on preview draft to see what the image is looking like. All right, let's see. Okay, so maybe I can move this paragraph under it, but otherwise it looks okay. So this is what the image in your content area will look like. I will go back in edit mode because we have a few other options to go over. Now, the last formatting or layout option that we have in this toolbar is the table option. So the table option is available in these at the very top as a drop down. So you click on the table option and select the number of the rows and columns that you want for your table. So I'm creating a 3x4. Use tables for tabular data only. Okay, don't use tables to create layouts. That's not what the tables should be used for. So if you have a table, there are two things you need to do for accessibility. You have to mark your header row or header column as a header row or column in the code, and you have to add a table caption, right? So I'll show you how to do that. So say you have a header like this. This is not enough. You're just typing the text. It's not changing anything in the code. So you have to mark it as a header row in the code. And this is only when you have a header. If you don't have a header, that's okay. But if you have a header, you have to mark it as a header row or column in your code. So what you need to do is to select this entire row, right click, go to cell properties, change the cell type to header cell, scope to row. So you're applying this to entire row, right? So that's why you need to change the scope and click OK. This is what your table header should look like. If it doesn't, and you have a header, it means you have skipped a step here. Okay, so that should work as a reminder. The second thing you need to do is to add a table caption. So if you go to the table drop down and select table properties, check this caption box and hit OK. You will see a little space at the top of your table. So table caption is a title for your table. So something like something like this. Okay, so that's your table. Now, if you want to add more rows, columns, delete them, the options are available right here. The toolbar appears when the table selected. So this here is the table property. If you want to delete this, add a row or after, just like Word, but these options are a little different, but they are there. So if you click preview draft, you should see the table caption will move to the bottom left corner of your screen, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's right here. Okay. All right. There is one more option in this toolbar, which is not used a lot, but it's there. This is for embedding a video or a web form in your page, right? So if you want to say embed a YouTube video in your page, you need to go to insert edit media option and put the embed code right here. So for this, let me just quickly go to YouTube and get a video code. Maybe I'll just take this. I hope it's not something inappropriate, but share and all. So you go to YouTube, click on share to get the embed code, and then you select this entire code and go back to your page. I clicked on insert edit media. I will paste that embed code right here. And this is what it will look like. Okay. So if you click preview draft, this is, it will span to the full width of the page on your desktop. But as you resize, this video will also resize, okay? And that's by design. We want the video to be visible on all viewing devices. That's why it's by default, it appears full width on the on desktop mode, okay? Let's go back and okay, I think we have covered all the editing options we have in this toolbar. On this page, you also have a sidebar option. So the sidebar looks something like this right here. So it can be used for a small blurb of paragraph text or maybe some quick links like I have here. So I'm just going to copy this for now and show you what it looks like on the display. So there is a header option. So and then I'll paste that content here. Obviously, the design of your, the site is different. So the links on that help site is purple, whereas for you, this is the teal color. So I have these 4 links here, and if you preview, it will appear at the top right here. Okay, so this is a good example of how my design elements on this page are not working now, right? Because I added a video which is supposed to be full width at the top, but I also have a sidebar. This placement doesn't look that great, right? So you have to really see what your page looks like with all the different elements you are adding on your page. Like for example, if you make table as the first item and you also have a sidebar, the table needs full width. So what will happen in that case? You will have all this blank space, and then you have a sidebar, and then the table will start. This is when table is the first element in your content area, the first content area. So you have to really see your page and make sure that the design elements are working well. In this case, I will probably move the video down. Okay. So now we have added some things on the page. We have made the changes. Your normal workflow will be to make changes, preview, hit submit to save your changes. It will take me through the content checks. And this accessibility check it's not really doing anything. At the max, it will highlight a caption error if you missed your table caption, but that's about it. So now I have reviewed my changes. I submitted. The next step will be to publish it. It says I cannot publish this one because I don't have a destination. But if I go to say a different site like accessible, a new site, and I click on any of the pages and I try to publish, this is what your normal publish screen will look like. Make sure you're publishing the right asset here and you have the right destination selected. It should always say live if you mean to publish your changes to the live site. Okay. If you expand your publish settings, and I recommend that you do that to make sure that you have live and staging is your test site. So both of these should be checked. and you click publish. When you publish, it usually takes a few seconds to publish a page. If you're publishing your entire site, it might take a little longer, but this will be your normal workflow. All right. This is all we have for the basic session. Jill, is there anything else you want me to cover? I know we are almost at the end of this session, but we have a few more minutes.
No, I mean, you went over quite a bit. There's some stuff that might be